The unexpected war. In a distant corner of the galaxy, the Celestials, known as the Mightiest species, ruled over countless worlds. Their technology was advanced, their fleets were powerful, and their warriors were feared. They believed themselves unbeatable, with strength that left other species trembling. But arrogance has a way of blinding even the strongest. On a quiet day on Earth, news of the Celestials' demands sent ripples through the human community. An alien ambassador, a tall figure with shimmering blue skin and golden eyes, had arrived at the United Nations. The room was filled with leaders and diplomats from around the world. They looked nervous as the ambassador spoke. The Celestials have decided to expand their empire. Your planet will be their next conquest, the ambassador announced, his voice echoing ominously in the chamber. Surrender now, or face the consequences. Humans, once divided by borders and beliefs, felt a spark of unity ignite within them. They had faced many challenges, but none like this. The alien threat loomed large, and they knew they had to respond. After the ambassador left, the leaders gathered in private to discuss their options. "We cannot back down," said President Carter, a middle-aged woman with steely determination in her eyes. "We need to show them that humanity is not weak. We may not have their technology, but we have something they don't: our history. We've fought wars, survived disasters, and rebuilt from ashes," added General Rodriguez, an experienced military leader. "We can teach them that they cannot simply take what they want." The decision was made. Humanity would not surrender. Instead, they would teach the Celestials a lesson in history, a lesson of resilience, unity, and strength. As the world prepared for war, people from all walks of life came together. Scientists worked on innovative weapons, engineers reinforced defenses, and civilians trained to support the military. News of the impending conflict spread like wildfire, igniting a fire in the hearts of every human. In the days leading up to the war, humans remembered their past victories. They recalled the time when they stood together against tyranny, when they fought for their freedom. They drew strength from the knowledge that they had overcome great odds before, and they would do so again. On the eve of battle, President Carter addressed the nation. "We stand on the brink of a new dawn. The Celestials may be powerful, but they underestimate us. We are a species that has risen from the depths of despair time and time again. We will not be a footnote in their history. We will write our own." Cheers erupted from the crowd as the words resonated deep within them. Humanity was united, ready to defend their home. As the sun rose on the day of the battle, the atmosphere was tense. The sky was painted with hues of orange and red, reflecting the determination of the human spirit. Ships from the Earth's fleet, a combination of advanced technology and clever engineering, stood ready. They were a motley group of crafts, each telling a story of innovation born from necessity. Meanwhile, the Celestials prepared their assault from their massive warships. Their ships glimmered like stars in the darkness of space, a menacing reminder of their might. They believed that this would be an easy victory, a simple conquest of a primitive world. But they were about to learn a valuable lesson. As the battle began, the humans launched their ships into space. Each vessel carried the weight of their hopes and dreams, their determination to protect their home. The fleet moved in formation, a testament to their unity. They were no longer individuals. They were a collective force, ready to face their enemies. The celestial warships advanced, their weapons primed and ready. But as the two forces collided, the humans proved to be more than a match for the alien might. They utilized clever tactics, using the terrain of their home planet to their advantage. Instead of attacking head-on, they struck from unexpected angles, ambushing the alien. In the chaos of battle, a young pilot named Mia found herself in the thick of it. She was a rookie, but her training had prepared her for this moment. As she navigated her small fighter, she remembered her training and the stories of her ancestors who fought against overwhelming odds. "Stay focused, Mia," she whispered to herself as she dodged enemy fire. Her heart raced as she maneuvered through the chaos, her hand steady on the controls. She aimed her weapons at an approaching celestial ship, a giant craft that dwarfed her own. "This is for Earth." With a deep breath, she pulled the trigger, sending a missile straight into the enemy vessel. The explosion lit up the dark space, and for a moment, Mia felt a rush of triumph. But the fight was far from over. The battle raged on, both sides refusing to give in. Humans fought with a fierce spirit that the Celestials had never seen before. Every loss fueled their determination, and every victory reminded them of their resilience. They had come together as a united front, determined to defend their home. As the dust began to settle, it became clear that this war would not be easily won or lost. The Celestials had underestimated humanity, and now they were learning the hard way that Earth was not a planet to be trifled with. In the command center on Earth, President Carter and General Rodriguez watched the battle unfold on screens, their hearts pounding with every explosion. They knew they had only just begun to teach the Celestials a lesson. The day had not ended, and the war was only starting. The battle had awakened something within humanity, a fierce determination to protect their world. They would not let the Celestials take what was theirs, and they would fight until the very end. Little did they know, this unexpected war would change the galaxy forever. As they faced their greatest challenge, humanity would rise, scared but stronger, ready to face whatever came next. The lesson was just beginning, and the galaxy was about to witness the unyielding spirit of humanity. The rising storm. The battle raged on in the cold void of space, but on Earth, tension was mounting. News of the conflict spread like wildfire, igniting a mix of fear and courage among the human population. Everyone felt the weight of the war on their shoulders. Each person knew someone fighting, and each had a role to play, whether on the front lines or back home. Back in the command center, President Carter and General Rodriguez were hard at work. They reviewed the footage from the battlefield, studying the tactics of the Celestials and how they could adjust their own strategies. "We've surprised them so far," General Rodriguez said, pointing to a screen that displayed the results of the latest skirmish. "But we can't rely on luck. They're adapting quickly." President Carter nodded, deep in thought. "What if we use their arrogance against them? They believe they're the strongest. Let's show them how wrong." Across the planet, the war was not just a matter of survival. It was a rallying cry for humanity. People came together in ways they never thought possible. Schools turned into makeshift training camps. Factories shifted production from consumer goods to war supplies. The human spirit soared, united against a common enemy. Meanwhile, in the stars, the celestial fleet was regrouping. Their commanders, once confident in their superiority, were beginning to feel doubt creep into their ranks. Commander Zarek, a seasoned warrior of the Celestials, paced on the bridge of his flagship. The images of destroyed ships haunted him. "We underestimated them," he admitted, anger boiling beneath the surface. "They're fighting back with a ferocity I've never seen. We need to crush their spirit." One of his officers, a young Celestial named Lyra, hesitated before speaking. "Commander, they may not be as weak as we believed. Perhaps it is time to reconsider our approach. They are not like other species we've conquered." Zarek turned sharply, eyes narrowing. "You're suggesting we negotiate. We do not negotiate with inferior species." His voice echoed through the bridge, but a part of him wondered if Lyra was right. Perhaps humanity was more than just a trivial obstacle. Back on Earth, in the heart of a bustling city, Mia was training with her squadron of pilots. The fear she felt before had transformed into determination. As she tightened her grip on the controls of her fighter, she felt a sense of purpose surge through her. The roar of engines and the scent of oil filled the air, and she knew she was exactly where she needed to be. "Listen up, everyone," shouted her squadron leader, Captain Jordan. "We're going to hit them hard and fast. They think they can push us around, but we will show them that humans fight back. We will be the storm that shakes their foundation." The pilots cheered, their spirits lifted by the captain's words. They knew they were outnumbered, but that only fueled their resolve. Each pilot had a story, a reason for fighting. For Mia, it was her family, her friends, and her planet. As they prepared for their next mission, the atmosphere was electric. The battle ahead would not just be about strategy. It would be a test of their will and courage. Each pilot climbed into their ships, determination etched on their faces. They had something to protect, something worth fighting for. The next day, the squadron launched into the starry expanse, their fighters shimmering against the black backdrop of space. As they approached the celestial fleet, Mia's heart raced with adrenaline. This time, they would not only defend, but also strike back. In the distance, the celestial ships loomed, enormous and imposing. The humans had learned their lessons, and the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the galaxy. Mia took a deep breath and focused on her mission. "Remember, stick to the plan." Captain Jordan's voice crackled through the comms. "We'll divide and conquer. Let's show them our spirit." The battle began, and chaos erupted in the void of space. Laser fire lit up the darkness, and explosions echoed like thunder. Mia moved her fighter with precision, weaving through the enemy's fire, her training kicking in. She spotted a celestial ship isolated from the main fleet and made her move. As she approached, she felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. This was her moment. "This is for Earth," she shouted, squeezing the trigger. The missile shot forward, slamming into the celestial ship. It exploded in a brilliant flash of light, a victory for humanity. Meanwhile, back in the command center, President Carter watched the battle unfold on the screens. "They're holding their own," she said, a hint of pride in her voice. "But we can't let our guard down. We need to prepare for the next phase of the plan." In the aftermath of the battle, the humans celebrated their small victories. But the Celestials were not ready to concede defeat. Commander Zarek, now more furious than ever, gathered his officers. "We will not be humiliated by these creatures. We will regroup and come back stronger. We will show them what true power looks like." As the celestial fleet adjusted their tactics, Earth braced itself for the storm to come. Humanity had proven its resolve, but the fight was far from over. The unexpected war had only just begun, and the galaxy was watching. The rising storm would reveal the true spirit of humanity, as they prepared to teach the Celestials a lesson they would never forget. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a battle that would echo through history, a testament to the strength and courage of the human. The Gathering Alliance. In the aftermath of the fierce battle, the world began to take stock of the situation. The news of the humans' surprising resilience and unexpected victory spread quickly, igniting hope across the globe. Nations that had once been divided came together, understanding that their survival depended on unity against a common enemy. In a massive conference hall, leaders from different countries gathered. The air was thick with tension and determination. President Carter stood at the front, her eyes scanning the room filled with generals, scientists, and diplomats. "We are facing a crisis unlike any we've ever seen," she began, her voice steady. "The Celestials underestimated our spirit, and now we must harness that spirit to forge an alliance strong enough to protect Earth." General Rodriguez stepped forward, his expression serious. "We need to build partnerships with other species who might oppose the Celestials. We cannot fight this war alone." He looked at a holographic map of the galaxy. "There are civilizations that have suffered at the hands of the Celestials. We must reach out to them." Around the room, leaders nodded in agreement. They realized that this was not just a battle for Earth. It was a fight for freedom for all species under the celestial thumb. They decided to send envoys to various planets, seeking allies for the coming conflict. Meanwhile, on a distant planet known as Varanthia, a meeting of its leaders took place. The Varanthians, known for their wisdom and strength, had long been oppressed by the Celestial Empire. Their leader, High Chancellor Thera, sat at the head of a round table, surrounded by her advisors. "The news from Earth is encouraging," she said. Humans have shown bravery we have not seen in ages, but can we trust them? An elder advisor leaned forward. If we join them, we risk further retaliation from the Celestials. However, standing alone means certain defeat. They may be our only hope. High Chancellor Thera contemplated their words. We will send a delegation to Earth. Let us see if their spirit is as strong in person. Back on Earth, preparations for the meeting were underway. President Carter was anxious but hopeful. She knew that forging alliances could change the tide of the war. We need to show them our commitment, she told General Rodriguez. If we can convince them that together we are stronger, we can form an alliance that the Celestials will fear. Days later, a delegation from Varanthia arrived on Earth. They stepped off their ship, tall and graceful, their skin shimmering in shades of blue and silver. As they approached the gathering of humans, President Carter stepped forward to greet them. Welcome to Earth. We are honored by your presence. High Chancellor Thera regarded her with curiosity. You have fought valiantly against the Celestials, but can you truly lead an alliance against them? We can, Carter replied firmly. We have learned that together we are more powerful than they could ever anticipate. Our fight is for freedom, and we invite you to join us. The discussions that followed were filled with hope and cautious optimism. The Varanthians shared their knowledge of the celestial forces, offering strategies that could enhance human tactics. In return, humans showcased their advanced technology, which amazed the Varanthians. Your ships are formidable, Thera said, eyeing the blueprints presented to her. We can use this technology to enhance our own forces. As the days went by, the alliance grew stronger. Other civilizations, like the fierce Drakari and the intelligent Mirians, reached out, eager to join forces. Each race brought unique skills and resources that would be crucial in the battles to come. Meanwhile, the Celestials were beginning to notice the shifts in the galaxy. Commander Zarek, still furious about the earlier battles, gathered his commanders on the flagship. The humans are gathering allies, he said, slamming his fist on the table. We must act swiftly before they become a real threat. We cannot allow this alliance to form. One of his officers spoke up. What if we launch a preemptive strike? Show them that we are still in control. Zarek nodded, a cold smile creeping across his face. Yes, let's show them the full extent of our power. We will crush their newfound hope before it can take root. As the celestial fleet prepared for their assault, the alliance on Earth grew stronger. Training exercises began, with humans and their new allies working together, sharing techniques and strategies. A sense of camaraderie blossomed as each species learned from one another. In the training grounds, Mia flew alongside Varanthian pilots, their graceful ships weaving through the air in a beautiful display of teamwork. She felt exhilarated, knowing that she was no longer just fighting for herself, but for a greater cause. We are stronger together, she shouted, her voice echoing over the comms. As the final preparations for the Alliance's first joint mission took shape, the tension was palpable. They knew that the Celestials were plotting their next move, but they were determined to be ready. In the depths of space, the Celestial fleet moved into position, their weapons primed and ready for destruction. The time for talk was over. The true test of humanity's spirit and the strength of their new allies was about to begin. As the first strike loomed, both sides braced for the impending storm. The galaxy was about to witness a clash that would shape its future, and the echoes of this battle would resonate through the ages. You said, the first clash. As the sun rose over Earth, the mood was electric with anticipation. The newly formed alliance of humans and their alien allies had prepared for days, honing their strategies and coordinating their forces. Each species had its own strengths, and together they believed they could stand against the Celestial Empire. The time for words had passed. Now they would face the Celestials in battle. In the command center, President Carter stood beside High Chancellor Thera, General Rodriguez, and other leaders from the Allied forces. A massive holographic display projected the latest intelligence on the Celestial fleet. The bright, Imposing ships were approaching Earth's orbit. The Celestials were ready to attack. "We need to strike first," General Rodriguez urged, his eyes scanning the display. "If we can catch them off guard, we might have a chance." Thara nodded in agreement. "Our scouts have identified a weak point in their formation. If we hit that area with everything we have, it could turn the tide in our favor." Carter took a deep breath, her heart racing. "Let's prepare for the attack. Everyone, take your positions." As the Allied ships moved into formation, each pilot felt a mix of fear and determination. Mia, now an ace pilot among the humans, sat in the cockpit of her starfighter. She glanced over at her Varinthian partner, a skilled pilot named Lyra. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. Lyra smiled, her skin shimmering in the cockpit lights. "I am ready. Together, we will show the Celestials the strength of our alliance." With that, the fleet launched into the depths of space. The ships moved with precision, each crew member knowing their role. They flew toward the Celestial fleet, which was larger and more intimidating than they had imagined. The bright hulls of the Celestial ships gleamed ominously against the dark backdrop of space. As they closed in, Zarek watched from his flagship. "Prepare to engage," he commanded, his voice cold and commanding. The Celestials had underestimated the humans before, and he was determined to crush their spirit this time. The tension built as both fleets drew closer. Mia could feel her heart pounding in her chest. "Stay focused," she reminded herself. "We can do this." Then, with a sudden burst of energy, the battle began. The air crackled with the sound of weapons fire, as lasers shot back and forth between the two fleets. Maya and Lyra maneuvered their ships together, weaving in and out of enemy fire. "On my mark," Lyra called out, her voice calm amid the chaos. 3, 2, 1. They dove toward the Celestial flagship, their ships dancing around incoming fire. Maya fired her cannons, hitting one of the smaller Celestial ships. It exploded in a brilliant flash, sending debris flying in all directions. "We got one," she shouted, exhilaration coursing through her. But the Celestials were relentless. Their ships retaliated with overwhelming force. The Allied fleet struggled to keep up as they fought against superior numbers. General Rodriguez's voice crackled over the comms, urging everyone to hold their ground. "Stay together. We can't let them break our formation." The battle raged on, and it became clear that the Celestials were not going to back down easily. One by one, Allied ships fell under the relentless assault. Maya's heart sank as she watched a Varinthian ship take a direct hit. "No. Lyra, we need to help them." "Stay focused," Lyra urged. "We can't let emotions cloud our judgment." Just as the situation seemed dire, High Chancellor Thera's voice broke through the chaos. "Alliance forces, listen. We need to regroup and strike at their weak point now." With renewed determination, the Allied forces adjusted their strategy. They formed a tight circle, allowing their ships to cover each other as they maneuvered toward the Celestial flagship. The moment of truth had arrived. Mia and Lyra took the lead, pushing their ships to the limit. The Celestial ships responded, but the Alliance was ready. Together, they unleashed a torrent of firepower, targeting the weak point Thera had identified. The Celestial flagship shook as explosions ripped through its hull. "Keep pushing. We can do this," Mia shouted, adrenaline fueling her every move. But just as they began to break through, Zarek's voice thundered through the comms, filled with fury. "Activate the self-destruct protocol. Let them feel our wrath." Panic surged through Mia. "What is he talking about?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. "They're going to blow up their own ship." Lyra shouted, her eyes wide. "We need to get out of here." In a frenzied rush, the Allied forces pulled back, dodging debris as the Celestial flagship erupted in a massive explosion. The shockwave rippled through space, pushing the Allied ships away. As the dust settled, the survivors of the Alliance regrouped. Many ships were damaged, and some were lost, but they had achieved a significant victory. They had pushed the Celestials back, if only temporarily. Mia glanced at Lyra, both of them breathing heavily from the adrenaline of the battle. "We did it," she said, disbelief coloring her tone. "Yes," Lyra replied, a proud smile crossing her face. "This is only the beginning. Together, we can stand against them." As the fleet returned to Earth, the realization of what they had accomplished began to sink in. The humans had fought alongside their new allies, and they had held their ground against a foe that had seemed invincible. The victory, however, was bittersweet. They had faced great losses, and the Celestials would not rest. But the spirit of unity among the humans and their allies had been forged in fire. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. And so, as they prepared for the next battle, they knew that together they would continue to fight for their freedom. The echoes of the first clash would reverberate through the galaxy, inspiring others to rise against oppression. The alliance was just beginning, and its strength would grow with every battle. The call to arms. As the survivors of the battle returned to Earth, a sense of camaraderie blossomed among the Allied forces. They had stood together against a common enemy, and now the bonds they had formed were stronger than ever. Humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy. They had allies who shared their struggle and their resolve. The news of their victory spread like wildfire across the planet. People gathered in parks, plazas, and homes to watch the reports on their screens. Images of the battle flashed before their eyes. Human ships weaving through enemy fire, explosions lighting up the void of space, and triumphant allies fighting side by side. President Carter addressed the nation in a live broadcast. "Today, we stand not just as humans, but as a part of a greater alliance. Together, we faced the Celestial Empire and lived to tell the tale. But this is just the beginning. We must prepare for the battles to come, for they will not rest until they crush our spirit." Cheers erupted from the crowd gathered in front of the large screen. Mia, Lyra, and the other pilots watched the speech from the command center, pride swelling in their chests. They had risked their lives and faced death, and they had emerged victorious. "Did you see that?" Lyra said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "We made a difference today." Mia nodded, still riding the high of their victory. "But we can't get complacent. The Celestials will retaliate, and we need to be ready." As the days passed, the Allied forces began preparations for the next phase of their struggle. The command center buzzed with activity as scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to improve their ships and weaponry. New strategies were devised, and training sessions were held for the pilots to sharpen their skills. Among those preparing for the next battle was Zarek, the Celestial leader. He had barely escaped the destruction of his flagship, and now he burned with a desire for revenge. "They think they can defeat us so easily," he snarled to his commanders. "We will show them the true strength of the Celestial Empire." Zarek convened a meeting with his top generals. "We will unleash our full might upon them. Their victory was a fluke, and we will crush their spirit once and for all." The Celestial forces began to mobilize, gathering ships from across their empire. Zarek's anger fueled their preparations, and whispers of a new weapon began to circulate. This time, they would not just attack, they would annihilate. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was electric with tension. The Allied forces knew that a storm was brewing, and they had to be ready. In the command center, Carter, Thera, and General Rodriguez analyzed the latest intel. "We need to take the fight to them," Rodriguez suggested. "We can't just wait for the Celestials to strike again. We have to find their new weapon before it can be deployed." "Agreed," Carter said, determination hardening her voice. "We need a strike team to infiltrate their base and gather information." Mia and Lyra stepped forward. "We'll go," Mia declared. "We've faced danger before, and we can do it again. We need to know what they're planning." Thera looked at them, admiration shining in her eyes. "You both have proven yourselves. If anyone can gather the intel we need, it's you. The next day, Mia, Lyra, and a small team of elite pilots set out for the celestial base. They traveled in stealth ships designed to evade detection. As they approached the enemy territory, tension filled the air. They were entering a den of predators, and every moment counted. "We need to be quick and quiet," Maya reminded the team as they neared the celestial stronghold. "Stick to the plan, and we'll make it back." The team navigated through the maze of celestial ships, avoiding patrols and security systems. They landed on the outskirts of the base, cloaked in shadows. With their hearts racing, they disembarked, ready to gather information. As they moved through the base, they overheard conversations among celestial guards. "The new weapon will be ready soon," one of them said. "The humans will not know what hit them." Nia exchanged worried glances with Lyra. "We have to find out what this weapon is," she whispered. They pressed on, creeping deeper into the heart of. "Now we need to find a way to sabotage it," Mia whispered, her eyes scanning the room. "If we can damage the core, it will take them months to repair." Lyra nodded, her expression determined. "Let's find the control room. If we can access their systems, we can override the safety protocols and initiate a meltdown." They crept toward the control room, aware that every step could lead to danger. As they neared the entrance, they heard voices inside. "What's taking so long?" a celestial engineer complained. "The weapon needs to be operational by the end of the week. We're working as fast as we can." Another voice shot back. "The humans will be here soon, and we can't risk any delays." Mia exchanged glances with her team, their hearts racing at the mention of humans. "They know we're coming," she whispered urgently. "We have to move quickly." They slipped inside the control room, and Mia rushed to the main console. "I'll start hacking into their systems," she said, fingers flying over the controls. "We need to create a diversion as well." As she worked, Lyra and Thera stood guard, weapons ready. Maya felt the pressure mount as the system resisted her attempts to gain access. The clock was ticking, and she knew they had limited time before the celestial forces would discover their presence. "Almost there," she muttered, sweat beading on her forehead. Just as she bypassed the final security measure, alarms blared throughout the facility. "I'm in." Now to initiate the overload sequence. "Go, go, go," Lyra shouted, firing at the incoming guards. Mia began typing commands, the screen flashing warnings as the system registered her changes. "We need to get out of here," she yelled, panic creeping into her voice. With a final keystroke, she initiated the overload sequence. "It's set. We have 5 minutes to get clear before this place goes up." The team dashed back toward the exit, heart pounding in their chests. They fought their way through waves of celestial guards, adrenaline fueling their every move. "Keep pushing," Thera urged, her voice steady despite the chaos. As they neared the entrance, they were met with a wall of celestial soldiers. "Stop them," one shouted, raising his weapon. Mia glanced over her shoulder at the countdown on her wrist. "We don't have time," she shouted, firing her weapon. "We have to break through." With a surge of determination, they fought fiercely, their training kicking in as they worked together. Each pilot covered the others, providing crucial support as they carved a path through the enemy. Finally, they burst through the entrance and sprinted toward their ships. They clambered aboard, breathing heavily as they initiated takeoff. "Get us out of here," Mia yelled, slamming the controls. As they took off, the base erupted in a brilliant explosion behind them, a massive fireball lighting up the sky. The shockwave rocked their ship, but they were already in the safety of the stars. "Did we really do that?" Lyra breathed, awe in her voice. Mia let out a laugh, a mix of relief and excitement. "We did. We made a statement today." Back at the command center, the mood was jubilant as they shared the news of their success. They had struck a significant blow against the Celestial Empire, and the tide of the war was beginning to turn. But everyone knew this was just one battle in a much larger war. The reckoning had begun, and they were ready to face whatever came next. With each victory, humanity grew stronger, and their spirit remained unyielding. Together, they would stand against the celestial empire and fight for their future. The last stand. The aftermath of their successful mission echoed throughout Earth. The destruction of the celestial weapon facility sent shockwaves through the celestial empire, shaking their confidence. Mia, Lyra, Thera, and the rest of the team returned to a hero's welcome, but they knew that the real battle was far from over. In the war room, President Carter gathered the Allied forces to discuss their next steps. The atmosphere was charged with excitement and determination, but a shadow of doubt lingered in the air. Maya stood beside Lyra and Thera, ready to hear the plans for the next phase of their strategy. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've dealt a significant blow to the Celestials," Carter began, her voice strong. "But we cannot afford to relax. They will retaliate, and we need to be prepared." Mia felt a rush of adrenaline as she listened. "What's the plan, President?" she asked, eager to contribute. Carter looked at her with a proud smile. "We're planning a full-scale assault on their homeworld. Intelligence suggests that if we can eliminate their command center, we can disrupt their entire military operation. It's a risky move, but if we succeed, it could end this war." The room erupted in discussion, voices overlapping as everyone weighed in on the risks and strategies. Mia exchanged glances with Lyra and Thera, each of them understanding the gravity of the situation. "Are we ready for this?" Lyra asked, her brow furrowed. "This isn't just another raid. We're going straight to their heart. We have to be ready." Maya replied, her voice steady. "We've proven we can hit them hard. Now it's time to finish what we started." After hours of planning, the team was assembled. They were a mix of experienced pilots and new recruits, each one determined to fight for their home. The mood was intense, but there was an underlying sense of unity. They were no longer just individuals. They were a team, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As the fleet launched toward the celestial homeworld, Maya felt a surge of determination. This was it, the moment they had trained for, the moment they would either succeed or fail. She took a deep breath and focused on the mission at hand. The journey to the celestial homeworld was filled with tension. Ships flew in formation, and the sight of the massive enemy world grew larger as they approached. The fleet was ready, and the time for action was drawing near. "Prepare for battle," Mia called out to her team as they neared the atmosphere. "We'll hit their defenses hard and fast." As they entered the celestial atmosphere, the fleet was met with heavy fire. Explosions lit up the sky, and the air was filled with the sounds of battle. Mia steered her ship skillfully, weaving through enemy fire as they made their way toward the command center. "Stay focused," Thera shouted over the comms, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We have to get through their defenses." Mia led the charge, rallying her fellow pilots. "Follow my lead. We'll breach their defenses together." With a surge of adrenaline, they plunged into the heart of the celestial forces. They fought fiercely, dodging blasts and retaliating with precision. The celestial ships were formidable, but the humanity's resolve was even stronger. They pushed through, determined to reach their target. As they drew closer to the command center, Mia could see the main building looming ahead. It was a massive structure, heavily guarded, but they had come too far to turn back now. "Now or never," Mia shouted, rallying her team. "We push through." With one final push, they broke through the defenses surrounding the command center. The ship's systems beeped with warnings, but Mia focused on the target ahead. She guided her team toward the command center, their goal within reach. "Let's finish this," she yelled, adrenaline coursing through her veins. They landed just outside the command center, disembarking quickly. The area was chaotic, with celestial soldiers rushing to respond to the intrusion. "On me," Mia shouted, leading her team as they charged into the building. They fought fiercely, moving through the halls as they battled against the celestial guards. Each room they cleared brought them closer to their goal. As they approached the command room, Maya felt the tension mount. This was it, the heart of the enemy operations. They burst through the door, weapons raised, ready for a fight. Inside, a group of celestial commanders was gathered around a large holographic display, their eyes wide with shock as the humans stormed in. "Get them!" one of the commanders shouted, panic evident in his voice. Mia's team reacted immediately, engaging in fierce combat. The room erupted in chaos as they fought for control. The humans worked together seamlessly, their training evident as they covered each other and fought back against the celestials. Mia's heart raced as she fought, determined to claim victory. They pressed forward, slowly pushing the celestials back. She caught a glimpse of the central console, the command system that controlled the entire military operation. "Cover me," Mia shouted, rushing toward the console. She could hear her teammates fighting behind her, their shouts and weapon fire filling the air. As she reached the console, she quickly began typing in commands, working to disable the celestial systems. The alarms blared, red lights flashing as the room filled with chaos. "I need a few more seconds," Mia called out, her fingers racing over the keys. The pressure was mounting, and she could hear the celestials regrouping for a final push. Come on," she muttered, her heart pounding. Finally, with a final keystroke, the console lit up, and the systems began to shut down. "Yes, I've disabled their communications," Mia yelled, relief flooding through her. But just as she finished, a celestial commander lunged at her, weapon raised. With quick reflexes, Mia ducked and rolled, grabbing a fallen weapon and firing back, hitting the commander squarely. "Let's go," she shouted, running back toward her team as they fought their way to the exit. They had achieved their objective, but they still had to escape alive. The humans fought their way back through the halls, adrenaline pumping as they engaged in fierce combat. They were on the verge of escaping when a loud explosion rocked the building. The walls trembled, and dust fell from the ceiling. "We have to hurry," Lyra yelled, urgency in her voice. With renewed determination, the team pushed forward, finally reaching the exit. As they burst through the doors, they saw their ships waiting, ready for takeoff. "Get to the ships," Mia shouted, leading the way. They ran toward their ships, the sounds of battle ringing in their ears. Just as they boarded, another explosion rocked the area, sending debris flying. "Launch, now," Mia yelled as they scrambled aboard, her heart racing. As the ships took off, they could see the command center collapsing behind them, a massive fireball lighting up the sky. They had done it. They had struck a fatal blow to the Celestial Empire. "Status report," Mia called out, adrenaline still surging. "Damage report is coming in, but we're mostly intact," Thera replied, her voice steady. As they flew away, the realization of their victory began to sink in. They had faced the enemy head-on and emerged triumphant. The war was far from over, but humanity had proven they could stand strong against the might of the Celestial Empire. The fight was not just for survival, it was a fight for their future, and together they would continue to push forward, ready to face whatever challenges